Celebrating the 25th anniversary of Final Fantasy VII, fans get a glimpse at Seven's rebirth and much more. Capcom finally announces long-awaited Dragon's Dogma 2 and sponsored content creators for mass exodus of their partnership with G Fuel as CEO mistreats employees. This is the Alt F4 podcast.
Yes, there are a lot of other podcasts out there about gaming and current events, but none of them are this cool. This is Alt F4. Alt F4. Video games and current events are our life. It's what we live for. Are you ready? Let's do it. And now your host, a coffee-loving, scotch-drinking, cigar-smoking gamer. This is DuperZo.
Welcome to episode 3 of the podcast. We've made it into the third week consecutively getting episodes put out every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time. Unfortunately, Mr. Cold Killa is not able to be with us again. There's just some busy things going on. So I have my brother Miguel here. He is a long time gamer and fan of very many RPG style games. So I'm going to give it over to him and he's going to kind of introduce himself a little bit and we will get into the big portions of our podcast.
Hey, what's up, man? Thank you for having me on the show. Appreciate it. Everybody knows me as the CanisLupus Alpha. If you guys ever want to hit me up on Twitter, the CanisLupus. Been playing games for about 25 years plus. Known, Duper here for quite some time. Huge RPG fan. Obviously, we're going to be talking about some subjects about that, and especially my well-known Final Fantasy. I play Final Fantasy 14. Have a wonderful FC there. Hopefully, a nice little shout out to the Scions. See what's up.
Oh yeah,
and go on from there and have some fun. Have some fun today for sure.
Awesome. So, you actually got me in my because I got into Final Fantasy super late in life. I mean, you put me onto Final Fantasy with A Realm Reborn, and granted, I haven't been the most active player lately, but it is Final Fantasy is a very special IP. So why don't you kind of explain what the celebration was for? I know it was for Final Fantasy VII, but what the significance to that is and why this new information on Seven's rebirth is super exciting for those gamers like yourself who have been very emotionally invested in the Final Fantasy universe for so long.
Yeah, I like how you use the word emotionally invested because I do feel like I have. it's pretty crazy. 25 years, obviously, it's Final Fantasy VII. So, a lot of the, old schoolers seeing how Remake came out, I want to say about 5 years ago. We've been waiting for the next chapter, for the series, which obviously this roadmap that they just announced, which blew my mind for number one, and I'll explain that a little bit later. But having known that, 25 years of this amazing, just the IP alone, this isn't just Final Fantasy itself, it's just the IP of Seven, is a big deal especially for all of us fans. And hearing that Rebirth came out, or at least with its initial trailer, or I take that back, it's more of a teaser because it's not really much information of the game at the moment, but just the announcement of the game itself being called Rebirth. It blew my mind. I was like, thank God it's still in my era. I didn't want to make sure it wasn't past 10 or 12 years or something, but on top of it being 7, there's 3 or 4 different other tie-ins with the 7 universe where they're announcing 2 mobile games They're also announcing another remake that they're putting in. So with all of that, it's a big deal for, at least for myself, of the whole 25 years of knowing, Final Fantasy 7. So
Okay. And yes, like you said, it wasn't like the trailer. For what I saw, it was basically saying like, hey, it's coming, and you had a glimpse of the new character, correct? Like, is he a new character?
no. So with the whole rebirth situation, so I guess we could start with the roadmap. So a lot of people were concerned, especially when remake came out. They thought it was going to be like a 5 disc series, because it was, the first disc was just about Midgard. So a lot of people had a concern of it, because I mean, if you really think about it, Final Fantasy 7 on the PlayStation, it was 3 discs. Obviously, the graphic fidelity at the time was just, immense for the console itself, but they still packed in so much information into 3 discs that it was concerning for us, because all the assets that they have to render, make new stuff, new characters, new ideas. Obviously, the remake had its own idea of how the game perceived itself, for at least the Midgard point, but a lot of people were concerned that, because they put so much emphasis into Midgard, that the additional games that would be potentially coming by would be massive, and think like, oh, it's going to be 5 discs, or it's going to take every like 5 to almost 10 years, or even 20 years for it to be complete. And we finally got an announcement that the game is going to be just 3 discs. Obviously, we have the first one, which is the remake. This new one that's coming in the holidays of next year, potentially, hopefully. Obviously, the remake, unfortunately, they did push it back. And I honestly, if they do that for Rebirth, I would be super happy, because with the polishing and all that stuff that they done for remake, it was amazing. And I the first time I popped that disc in, it brought a tear to my eye. That's how emotional it came up to me. But yeah, so when Rebirth came in, it's not a new character. Just to go back to what you asked, Zack is part of the storyline. Obviously, if you have never played the Final Fantasy remake, or even Final Fantasy 7 alone, I would not want to spoil it for any of your audience, or even yourself. But it is something that once I saw him on the trailer, I was like, holy shit, he looks amazing. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that okay?
Yeah, it's fine. No, you're good. It's fine. We were within, so we do try to keep it a family friendly show, but I mean, every so often, like if something slips out, it's fine. I mean, we just can't be, throwing the F bangers around. But yeah, you're good.
Right. That's definitely not something. It's just, it was one of those emotional reactions that you just, even to like now, I still have that same reaction. It's like,
right,
you see this legendary character that you've played, seen, drawn yourself, that I mean, these 3D characters were just polymorphed into something that you would look like a human, but you never saw an actual facial reaction to them, you know what I mean, or like the movements, or any emotions to the character. And now you actually see it fully rendered, and they have their own character, their own voice. It just literally uplifts you, being a 7 fan. So
yeah, we were Nick and I were talking about that on the first episode, and it's just kind of amazing how in our day and age, the games that we're actually able to play now, like we're, for all sense and purpose, you're playing a movie. I mean, everything just looks so lifelike. Just kind of off the top of my head would be, like Uncharted 4, like that whole adventure. There were scenes when I was playing it, and it's just like, dude, like this is so well done that like it's so hard to tell what is alternate reality to reality right now.
Right. And that's the one thing that, I, as the fan of 7, and seeing it actually, coming into its, realistic form, it's quite a cool time to be alive. And especially with its own technology thing going on. So, but yeah, so with that being said, it's amazing, you know, seeing that trailer. If you guys never had a chance to see it, absolutely see it. If you've never played the remake, please play the remake. It's definitely, again, it's its own storyline, and if you really want to get into it, obviously playing the original is the best one. So, I mean, to lead on that as well, they also announced Final Fantasy Ever Crisis. So that's one of the mobile games that are actually coming out for the game itself, and it's supposed to be based on the same universe as the Final Fantasy VII, and also basically like a pocket version of Final Fantasy VII. So back, I want to say probably around 7 to 8 years ago, they made a pocket version of Final Fantasy 15, and that pocket version is pretty much a condensed version of what Final Fantasy 15 is, and they basically want to make that same thing for Final Fantasy 7. So they've also announced that, which was actually super cool. They're like little chibi versions of them. And if nobody knows what chibi means, it's just like a anime small version of a character, if you really think about it.
Rainbow Six Siege has those chibis of all the operators. You can use as like a charm on your gun, right?
Right. So same thing. Yeah. So basically you're having you know, these characters. They're all going to be on your mobile phone. It's just the whole story of 7, or at least, you know, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it could be the remake or a little bit after the remake. I don't know per se, because Zach is in there as well, so I'm kind of like, wait, what is this? So but it is basically supposed to be a mobile version of that. They also announced Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion, which is the remake of the PSP version of Final Fantasy Crisis Core. I'm actually super stoked about that one because, again, since we're going back to Zach, this is his story, right?
Okay.
So people get to finally understand what is the story of Zach, and it's going to be remade, and it's going to be on all the platforms from the Switch all the way to the PS5. So that's a good thing, and I think it comes out this year, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be like a little refresher story for people to know who is Zach. And then all of a sudden, when Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes out, you're like, oh, like I know what's now to come, you know, which is
so
awesome.
Basically gives it's extra canon of what is the main storyline.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
The only bad thing that I see that could potentially happen, or at least the risks of what's happening with playing Crisis Core, especially for the diehard fans that are really interested in the remake and the rebirth and this next title that unfortunately no one knows the title of yet for the final disc, but it is going to spoil you, unfortunately. Especially a huge thing back when I first played 7. There is a huge spoiler that comes in about what happens with not just Zach, but Cloud himself. And it just, it blew my mind. I think I was 11 or 12 when I first played the game. And it blew my mind about what was happening with Cloud. And this kind of is a little bit of a spoiler. So I don't know if people would want to play it. You know, I think it's just more for the hardcore fans that played Crisis Core and really wanted it to get remade. But I absolutely think it's a very vital story, but unfortunately it does have like some things that will spoil for like the new rebirth and so on and so forth. But yeah.
Okay, cool. Two things that I picked up on while you were talking. One is explain to the audience who don't know, because you said in the Final Fantasy it's in the same universe, and now I know what you mean by that. But then number two, after you explain that, can you go into any detail about your concerns for some of that mobile game features for the Final Fantasy VII? Because, you know, the Diablo Immortal came out, right? And it is just latent with MTX. So I don't, so I don't know if that's a concern that diehard fans in Final Fantasy have or not. I don't know if you even if that's even on your radar for a concern, but go ahead and take it from there.
Right. So pretty much the future itself, or at least the universe, obviously I'll take that back. Each universe, or at least title of Final Fantasy, is its own entity. There's obviously certain things in the game that are added from each universe, or at least each chapter of Final Fantasy. Like from the monsters to certain characters, just little things like that. But each game is its own entity. Now, for the Crisis Core series, or when I'm saying its universe, is just the universe of Final Fantasy VII. So there are different storylines in Final Fantasy VII, because they try to choke out as much content as they can for 7, because 7 is just that popular. Just like how they try to do for Final Fantasy X. They had a 10 part 2, they had a 10 spin-off, they had they also did it for Final Fantasy 13. They had like 4 or 5 different video games for that too. But 7 was always the one that a lot of people were just more, I guess they gravitated it to themselves more. So there was Crisis Core, there was Dirge of Cerberus, there was Advent Children, which was the movie. So there was a lot of adaptations within that universe that obviously the storyline, they try to put it all together. And I think that's what they're doing for the remake, so that people could, look at Advent Children, which is the movie, and know what it is within that universe and lore, and then watch Final Fantasy or play Final Fantasy Crisis Core and understand its lore and put it into its universe, So basically that's what I'm getting at least the universe standpoint. But one of my main concerns, at least for the mobile version, is I don't think. Well, let me specify that. For at least for the transactions, that's what you're talking about, right? The microtransactions.
Right. I mean, the concern is, especially for me as a gamer, whenever you hear something's going mobile, especially like with Call of Duty, or again, like with Diablo that came out. I mean, yes, Call of Duty, Warzone, and all that has microtransactions, but it's not pay to win. It's pay for cosmetics, which I'm totally fine with. But when it seems like when companies port games over to be specifically a mobile style game, there tends to be a problem where microtransactions tend to overtake the core of the game, and then it becomes progression can get to a point where it is backstalled behind a paywall.
Right. I don't necessarily see that happening for Ever Crisis, and like I said, the reason for that is they didn't put microtransactions for the pocket version of Final Fantasy 15. So it's literally just condensing the story to where it's on the mobile. It kind of gives more of a nostalgia for people that played Final Fantasy 7 back in the days, where it's like over the top characters like in chibi form, able to like run around within the universe of Final Fantasy 7. So I don't see them adding any type of microtransactions, because it's not a multiplayer game, it's just more story driven. I mean, if they wanted to, it kind of looks like the game has like a card system, if I'm not mistaken. And what I mean by card system is that you might be handed a certain type of abilities, and you could use those abilities based upon like what you have in your deck per se. I don't necessarily know if that's what it is. It could be just more, select this ability, and then use the ability, and then that's pretty much the gameplay. Obviously when they get into their fight, they do have like their full rendered scaled characters. They're not like the chibi forms, they're actually like their actual character models, which is pretty interesting to me. I wonder how, like, I mean, I guess the only thing I would probably say that's more concerning is if it's gonna run good. That's right. Probably the only thing that I would probably say is like the one main concern, because Obviously you're going to be rendering all these characters. Obviously there's going to be some kind of fidelity that has to happen, especially since it's going to be on the mobile. But besides that, I don't really see microtransactions happening. Now, there is Final Fantasy, the last or the first soldier, which is their PUBG kind of game. I don't know, what are those games called? I'm sorry.
Battle Royale.
Battle Royale, yeah. So
wait,
the Battle Royale,
back up a second. There is a Battle Royale Final Fantasy game.
Yes, there is. Yeah, actually, that was actually part of the announcement too.
Out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they actually have a Final Fantasy Battle Royale. It's called The First Soldier. It came out, I want to say, about 6-7 months ago, per se. It's been out for quite some time.
Is this on Steam?
No, this is strictly on mobile. This is strictly mobile, yeah. This was part of the announcement. They're adding a second season in, and they're adding, other characters. Again, that's where the microtransactions do come into play. Have I played it? Yes. Do I like it? No.
What is it called again?
It's called The First Soldier.
First Soldier. See, I'm already looking it up on my phone right now, guys.
No,
I just wanted to take a look. I'm not going to play it obviously while we're podcasting, but
right. No, honestly, okay. Let me like retract myself at the point of like I didn't like it. I'm not really much of a battle royale fan. Like I do play like Fortnite or when you and I used to play PUBG.
Mm-hmm.
They were fun, but that's on the computer. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not on the phone. So when I try out the phone ones, I think the only one, and it wasn't even a battle royale, or actually no, is the Call of Duty one, that was actually pretty good.
Well, yeah, you know why it was good? Because most of the lobbies were nothing but bots, bro.
Hey, bro, I felt pretty powerful. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, it's real easy when the bots are running into the wall and their guns are just pointing in a direction that is not at you.
No wonder. Now it makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyways, so now playing the First Soldier, it is. I'm sure there are bots. I don't know. I did do a couple kills on there, but it did feel pretty heavy player in a way. So
you could tell you mean that like the reaction time that you were getting from what would be the other character, it seemed like there was a person behind it, not a computer generated NPC.
Exactly. So I was feeling like it was more of a player that I was taking on, and especially like towards after like my third kill or so, I definitely felt like the anxiety coming up, because obviously it's a battle royale, so smaller and smaller. What's really cool about it though is you get to use like magic, you get to use like different summons. You have like three different types of classes. You could use like swords, guns, magic. It's pretty interesting. I'm not gonna lie.
So the spell casting stuff, that would be kind of close to like Spellbreak, because Spellbreak is that battle royale game, but it looks like Zelda Breath of the Wild. But it's all like magic stuff.
Yeah, pretty much like that. It's not as in depth as that, because I'm pretty sure they were more heavily interested in more of the magic thing. This is more like you're still using guns, you're still using your sword, you're using more of that than you're actually using like your magic. But yeah, so you are essentially having a battle royale in Final Fantasy VII universe. So that's where their microtransactions, definitely for sure. They did show different character models that they're adding into the game, different weapons that they're adding into the game. I think they're adding like some new maps as well for the new season. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm not really into battle royale, so I wasn't really hooked on to that. I'm sure like your audience would appreciate that, because I know you're definitely into like those games.
Yeah, you could tell that my interest also. What? It's battle royale Final Fantasy? What?
I didn't know that. No. So I'm more towards like the story driven, like multiplayer, like dungeon crawling kind of game. So it's so that's where Final Fantasies 14 will come into play. Obviously, like the next roadmap coming up to that is like 7.0 as well. which is like a big thing for all of us fans. So,
oh my God, is it really 7.0 already?
Yeah.
Oh
So right now I think we're at
gosh.
6.5, 6.4, 6.5. So a lot of the story right now is kind of like up in the air. Nobody really knows what's going on in the Final Fantasy lore.
Well, yeah, because this is the end. The End Walker, which I'm still playing through. So don't worry, audience. There will be no spoilers for me because I'm still very early on. But my understanding is that that Endwalker is to Final Fantasy 14 what Episode 9 of Star Wars was, in terms of like Star Wars Episode 9 was the end of the Skywalker story, and Endwalker is the end of the Order of Scion story, and that the next expansion will be a whole new thing, issue, characters, things like that.
Correct. Yeah. So the story of the Scions, or at least the story of Delacroix, was pretty much done. Like, it's over. This is the reason of what it is, and here you go. That's what Yoshi P gave to us, and honestly, he left it out with a good banger. And I love the story. I mean, obviously, so just a little backstory on like 14. I've been playing the game since 2010, since 1.0.
Right.
And ever since, every single chapter, I've been waiting for the next thing and the next thing. And now playing, what is it, 13 years later, 12 to 13 years later, it's a big thing. When 1.0 came out, a lot of people hated it. I actually enjoyed it. It just reminded me of Final Fantasy 11, which again is still a game that's still active, and that's plus 15 years itself.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it like you can even see, like, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry, but you can see ninjas playing that game all the time on Twitch.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those games that it's nostalgia. It gives you the old of what RPGs used to be, and it's still running to this day. Actually, it just had an expansion, I think. A couple months ago, if I'm not mistaken, like about 4 or 5 months ago, it had a new expansion came out. So I was like, wow, like they're really still supporting Final Fantasy 11. But Final Fantasy 14's 1.0 was pretty much kind of a love story to Final Fantasy 11, depending on what am I like the lore, the fighting. And it was just too slow. A lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people were so used to like the World of Warcraft style, where you're just like in your face, beating things up, button mashing. Final Fantasy 14 was not like that. People hated it. I mean, it ran like trash. No computer could run it because it was just way too advanced for its age too. It was amazing. And then when they killed it and 2.0 came out, and Yoshi P came in at I think it was 1.5 or 1.6, and then by 1.8 he literally killed the server and redid the game that we have today. So so 7.0 is coming out. They announced that a couple months ago as well. Obviously it's still within the 25-year anniversary of what's going on with Final Fantasy, and they're actually going to redo our character models, or at least add more texture, more realism to the actual game itself, because it is, back in 2012 per se, or I think it was like 2013. These character models have been since PlayStation 3, so we've been waiting for like a big update to where they change the character models like they did with World of Warcraft. So now this is coming out, 7.0, a new storyline. Basically, he wants to continue 14 into its own state and continue it on like it did for Final Fantasy 11. So hopefully, the god Yoshi P gets it going for us, and I can't wait. It's going to be an exciting year. So
yeah, absolutely, man. Like, and I feel bad because I take such a long time to play through the game. Like, I think my biggest problem, not with the game at all, it has nothing to do with the game. It has more to do with like me, is just like I have to be in the mood to sit there and take in a ton of content. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's almost 10 years.
Yeah, well, not just that, but just for me, I am glad that the newest expansions, Shadowbringers and now Endwalker, they've added more voice acting into the cutscenes, which for me has actually really helped get through it because the dialogue is so good, and it's fine having to read it, but having to read, just like with World of Warcraft, having to read every single little thing is like, oh my gosh, I need to have some kind of voice acting to help me get a little bit more immersed here, you know?
Right. Yeah. They've done that after Heavensward. Like they kind of understood that, a lot of player base wanted to get more vocal with like their characters. And that was like their best thing that they did. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm even um a I guess way to put it is I'm one of the skip baiters too, where I have all these dialogues. I'm just gonna skip it. Like,
yeah, same.
Story,
I'll
and
watch
honestly,
YouTube tomorrow.
exactly.
I'll see what they were talking about.
I'll have that one YouTuber that just reads everything out for me. I'll just listen to him.
In the fourth year of the scion of the number 7 gemstone. Whoa,
exactly.
Intrigued.
That's the best. Yeah, no, I'm one of those people as well. But yeah, no, the newer stories, they definitely had a lot more voice acting, which is great. Because all the voice actors and what's funny is that actually no, it's a lot of the players, or at least the voice actors from the start all the way to the end, has changed a lot. There were certain people that haven't changed. Like number one, I believe I'm not mistaken, is Y'shtola. Don't quote me. Or Thancred. I think they're both still the original casts, but everybody else, unfortunately, is someone different. That's very similar to like the old voice actors, but yeah, no. Final Fantasy 14 is one of those, like, it's close to my heart. Obviously, I put 10,000 plus hours in the game.
Yeah, I think that's also a testament to the time that we're at with video games, where being a voice actor is a big deal. Like it is a now prestigious thing. I mean, look at Troy Baker, right?
Oh yeah.
Did you know that he played Matthew Baker from Brothers in Arms?
No.
I did not know that until Death Stranding came out, and I was watching a thing with him, and he was kind of going over his, like, when I started, and Brothers in Arms was one of his games that he did. But I mean, you have, and then, I mean, look at that, man. Now he's like The Last of Us, Death Stranding, which him as Higgs, oh my gosh, like that, oh
amazing.
My goodness. But not to get off topic, but yeah, so like voice acting has become a prestigious thing in the industry now, where I think you're going to see a lot more continued voice actors for the same character, because it just makes sense.
Yeah, well, unless you're Metal Gear Solid and you destroyed David Hayter.
Did you miss me, huh? But
dude, I would love for him to come back. I swear to God.
But hold on though. Okay, so we're gonna get off on the Final Fantasy topic for a quick second, because I'm gonna ream your butthole about that one. Okay. So when Ground Zeroes came out, that little prequel to Phantom Pain, and it was Kiefer Sutherland, and everybody's like, "What? That's stupid, Christian hater." Blah 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 blah. But once you figure out where the game went and what happens in Phantom Pain, and I'm sorry, the game's been out since 2015, so the fact that you're actually playing a guy who is mimicking Big Boss, who is Naked Snake from Metal Gear Solid 3, it made sense that he had a different voice. So there's like all these things that like kind of seemed random like in the story, but as soon as everything got put together, it's like, oh my God, it was right in my face the whole time. So yes, sir, I'm going to call you out on that one, because that actually made sense for them to do that, I think.
No, I get the reason why, and like I said in the story lore, how you said it absolutely makes sense. But for the fans, it would have been better towards the end, like how you just said. You know, Keith Sutherland doing the whole entire game, and then that last rendition when you find out, that whole spoiler
kept you waiting, huh?
Then you could have David Hayter come in and just say, like whatever he had to say for his last lines, because but here's the thing too. Even towards the end, when he talks to, if I'm not mistaken, was it Otacon that he talked to? He talked to somebody. It wasn't Otacon.
No, at the end. No. He was talking to Ocelot at the end.
Ocelot, yeah. So he was talking to Ocelot at the end, like the actual snake, and it was still
Kiefer
Sutherland, and it shouldn't be that. It should have been David Hayter.
Yeah, that I agree.
Really
yeah,
let it the way that you say it, then it should have been like that, and it would have been a way more bigger impact. And be like, holy crap! Like that's exactly the reason why. Is you know what I mean? But still, in my head, it was like, no, they just legitimately destroyed the original snake. So I get it though. I think we both win. I want to say it.
it's a tie. Although, it's a tie. But again, also too, I'm a little biased because I don't think Hideo can do any wrong. But
no, I don't think so either.
That man is.
The man could have made a Solid Snake a female, and it'll still be the best fucking. Oh, excuse me. Oh my gosh.
What? Okay. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, no, but I mean, like he literally, folks, the man literally created a walking simulator, and it was fun.
It's so amazing, yeah. But honestly, it's literally their actors, bro. Every single one of their actors were amazing. They did their they acted plus voiced their characters. You know what I mean?
Right, with all the motion capturing that they're doing.
With all the motion capture and everything. So it was one of those, it hit every note that every player dreamed of. And yeah.
He being Troy Baker, when you first meet him vocally, not at the beginning where he's like doing the shush thing and then he disappears, but when he's talking and he's like, the name's Higgs, it's like, dude, you just knew before he even started doing evil stuff that he was just an evil character. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, oh my gosh, like this dude is terrifying.
Yeah, no, his character was so well in pretty much anything he does. He does so well.
Well, and yeah, and to embody the script so well. I mean, there is in that again, it's probably one of my most favorite cutscenes in video game history, because his lines were written so well that the embodiment of him saying, because the whole thing's about making connections. He's Sam Porter's going around connecting everybody. And he says something to the effect of ain't it a shame when you can't even make connections because you can't shake anybody's hands, and his hands are gone and they're doing this weird thing into that black yuck, and it's just oh my God. But then he said, but I'm connected to the other side, and then he's boom, and then this big freaking I was like, oh my gosh, that is so awesome.
Yeah, no, it's the whole cast, dude. Everybody, from what was it, Lindsay Wagner? That was the I forgot who was that. That was the president, wasn't it?
Yeah. The president and the blonde woman in the red dress.
Yeah. Just from any of those actors, they're phenomenal. Their facial reactions, they're just. I mean, it's Hideo, so
yeah,
can't really say much, but yeah, no, absolutely. The games now in motion capture and everything, especially that being added into like now our MMOs, like how we're just going back to 14. Just it's all coming together, and it's like, dude, it's crazy how our technology is going and how much it actually captures into our lives. Because back in the days, games was so frowned upon. Nowadays, it's like games is part of our lives.
Do you remember when we were kids and our parents would say things like, "You'll never make money making video games"? How wrong they were.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it still astounds me because I mean, I remember when I got into streaming. My cousin Isaac, who's like much younger than all of us in the family, he's now like early 20s. He's the one that turned me on to Twitch, and he, like, I'll never forget this because like I had gotten he was with me to get my PS4 on Black Friday because he had come down to visit. Got home, turned it on, and that's when PlayStation integrated the broadcasting feature, to Twitch. Yeah. And I was like, Isaac, what is this? He's like, oh, you don't know what Twitch is? I was like, no, I have no idea what this is. I mean, I knew what watching like Let's Plays were all about on YouTube. But when he told me that there were these people who literally have like 10,000 people at that time, back in 2014, like 10,000 people watching them play video games, and they'll like donate money to them and gift them subscriptions. And I was like, excuse me? What? Like, that seemed so off base for me. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't even on my radar, but now like it makes sense because now the argument has become like, well, how come you're going to watch people do it? Why don't you do it yourself? It's like, well, how come you don't go play football? How come you don't go play baseball? Like, how many hours in a day on Sunday during football season do we sit down and watch professional athletes play? Now, I'm not saying gamers are on the level of athleticism and overall just excellence as professional athletes are, but it's in terms of viewership, it's the same concept.
Right. It's just a new realm, man. It's a new realm that everybody is just, I mean, we're really going into a tangent, but like,
no, it's good. VR, no, this is fine. We're all good with this, man.
Yeah, no, it's just, it's crazy. I've been watching like VR stuff. I've been watching, all these things, like Ready Player 4 that everybody likes, or Ready Player 1, sorry, that everybody's like, like that's what they gravitate to because that's what people want to be in, that whole metaverse. But that's just a whole crazy topic that, that's the next thing, that people are like, oh, like that's never going to happen. Like that's in 10 years down the line, I'm pretty sure it's going to be,
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So,
which I don't know. I know it's coming, but I just like, I don't want to do the whole virtual thing, but that's a whole other tangent.
But yeah, just for the 25th anniversary, that's pretty much it. I mean, there's not really a lot of things, at least in the Final Fantasy or Square Enix realm, that they wanted to present, but it was a big thing, like I said, for all of us, at least for the 25th anniversary for 7. And like I said, it was definitely a tearjerker for me. So
yeah, well, that's good. I mean, you would expect that an IP as famous as Final Fantasy, it would bring emotional responses from diehard fans from the very beginning, so
yeah, absolutely. And they got it. They definitely got the response that everybody wanted. And even for the reunion game that's coming up, it's same response. Like they got exactly what they needed. Even Final Fantasy 16 coming out, which now they officially have a roadmap for that, and that is officially coming out next year, which again, the director is Yoshi P of Final Fantasy 14. Like, I'm excited for that too. It's like Final Fantasy, at least right now, is going to be definitely up there, in my little hit list that I need to hit real quick. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just to in terms of things that have been announced and longtime fans of different games who are now excited, the Dragon's Dogma 2 was announced, which I thought was, at least for me, came out of left field. Like, I always knew when I played it the first time a long time ago, like, I was like, man, this is such a good video game. Like, I can't, like, I still, not even as in depth as Skyrim was, like, that's not even, like, I don't even think an Elder Scrolls game can even touch Dragon's Dogma. And so the fact that they're finally, after all this a long waited time, finally giving us a second Dragon's Dogma, and you know that game is going to look like Demon Souls.
Oh, guaranteed.
Like, that is, oh my God. Like, I am so excited.
Well, that's the thing with Dragon's Dogma. So I followed Dragon's Dogma about 10 years ago when it first came out. And yeah, this is like their 10th anniversary. So when they announced that they were going to do kind of a remaster for Dragon's Dogma, I immediately knew that there was going to be something else. Because, I mean, 10 years, really, you're just going to do a remake? I don't think so. I think 2 is coming out. So I had a little bit of speculation that 2 was going to like be announced. But yeah, like when I saw like their first initial 10-year trailer, and I know that they were going to do another one, which I didn't know what that one was going to be. But when I saw the first initial 10-year Dragon's Dogma, and they showed like all these artworks and all this like cool things that happened like during the development and that they were going to remake and so on and so forth. Then they announced, boom, Dragon Dogma 2. I was like, what? Okay.
Yeah. Now, is it...
That's how you do it.
Is it... I thought they already remastered Dragon's Dogma for like the next gen consoles, because I got it on my Xbox XS, it looks a little better than what it did when it first came out, or is that just a port?
It's a port.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not a remaster, or at least from my understanding, it's not a remaster. It's like the Dark Arisen. When Dark Arisen came out, if I'm not mistaken, they did add some graphical, adds to it, but I don't think they quote unquote remastered it.
Right.
So there is a remake that is going to be that is coming out. If I'm not mistaken, it should be this year or next year. It's one of the two. But I know that there's going to be a remake, and on top of that, number 2 is coming out.
So they're doing a remake of number 1, not a remaster. So it's from the ground up.
Correct.
And then they're releasing number 2.
Correct.
That is amazing.
That's what they want to do. They want to complete Dragon's Dogma remake and like make it as a complete game without calling it like Dark Arisen, and just literally have Dragon's Dogma 2.
Okay. That would be, I mean, dude, that... Oh, if I can play that game... Go ahead, sorry.
I'm just saying, it could even be a remaster. I don't, quote unquote, when I saw the trailer, or at least from my understanding, it looked like it was going to be a remake or a remaster, one of the two. It's just something that it's just because of its 10-year, but that's where I'm kind of confused. I could be mistaken, and this whole remake thing that I was just saying, it actually could just be Dragon's Dogma 2, if that makes sense.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You got what I'm saying? Like, because when they announced it, it was literally like, oh, here's what Dragon Dogma is, and this, and this is what our assets are, and then this is what it could look like 10 times better, and then boom, Dragon Dogma 2. Wait, what?
So, yeah, and according to this article from VG2047, it says it came out on the 17th, so that was, 2 days ago? Dragon's Dogma fans finally got some big news today. 10 years later, a sequel to the cult classic action RPG has been announced, Dragon's Dogma 2. The game was confirmed to be in development as part of the Dragon's Dogma anniversary video, which also talked a great deal about the history of the franchise and how it came to be. Series director Hideaki Itsuno will be returning to the helm of the project, and during the reveal, we only learned that Dragon's Dogma 2 is currently in development, and that's it. At least we got to see the lead dev remove his jacket to show us the logo, though. It is something, at least. Unfortunately, that's about all we got. Other than the announcement itself, Capcom didn't really reveal any gameplay details or any specifics of any sort. But after Tuesday's Capcom Showcase Troll, we'll take whatever we can get. Dragon's Dogma originally came out in 2012, directed by the Devil May Cry's Hideaki Itsuno. The game fused various bits of inspirations together. Its combat was flashy, like Spectacle Fighters, and its world had a day-night cycle with clear mechanical implications, something rare at the time. It was also beloved for its large monsters and massive boss fights, which players could mount as they fight and take down in spectacular fashion. Perhaps its claims to fame, however, was its pawn system, which allowed players to recruit and train AI companions to accompany them on missions and even trade them to other players. The game has since made its way to PS4, Xbox One, and PC as the Dark Arisen version. Okay, so yeah, the Dark Arisen version would be like that port,
right,
which includes the expansions alongside various other technical upgrades and improvements. Got it. Yeah, so that's right. The Dark Arisen was more than just some improvements. It's basically like Game of the Year edition where they put in all the DLC and all the goodies.
Yeah, so that's pretty much how the announcement went through, and that's from my understanding. Now, if they are doing like a remaster for the Dark Arisen, and it could be a potential thing for the 10th anniversary, but I know that towards the end of their interview, they immediately just started like Dragon's Dogma 2. Like what? Like it just blew my mind. Like in that realm. So I'm hoping that they do remake it because that would be nice to have like a up to date Dragon's Dogma before we hit Dragon's Dogma 2. And I hope Dragon Dogma 2, please give us co-op. Please don't give us like their shadows. Like don't give us like the characters. I forgot what dude. I forgot what it's called because it's been that long since I played it. But you know how like you have like your companion that you could like make from the ground up.
Yeah, the pawns. The
pawns. Thank you. Yeah. So hopefully, like I don't have to just do the whole here. You could have my pawn while you level him up while I take him back or whatever. I'd rather have it actually be cooperative. Please let it be cooperative.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, because that would be like the Armor of Two or Army of Two for you and I.
Oh, dude, that was such an amazing game. I wish they remastered that. That would be great.
Oh man, honestly, I mean, the Devil's Cartel would be the best though. Like one was awesome, but Devil's Cartel was
That's why, like, I named my Final Fantasy character Salem because, like,
that's right. Yeah.
So
that's right. Yeah.
I love that game. I love that game so much. I wish they remastered that.
Yeah, because co-op games are just so good. And you know what? Speaking of like co-op games and remakes, remasters, and things like that, I hope that with Dead Space being remade from the ground up, I hope they do all three again. And I hope that 3, they keep that co-op, because that was probably, besides Army of Two, that was probably my favorite co-op experience of all time, because like you and I were talking just the other day about it, where, I would see something playing as that other character, but you wouldn't know what was going on. But meanwhile, my whole screen is just demons and things are freaking out around me. And I'm speechless now again, because it was terrifying. I was just like, oh my God, what is happening? And you're like, what's going on? And I'm just like, you just see my character just turning around, and you're just like, dude, this is nothing. But then Isaac would have like mental psychotic breaks, and then you would start tripping out and seeing stuff. I'm just like, dude, there's nothing here. And then like you'd have to defend the person because the creatures were coming. Oh, dude, it's just such a good concept.
I think like concept. I think the first time that we did do that, and how you said that you were defending each other, because I remember playing as John Carver, right? Because that was the second guy, not Isaac, right? Isaac Clarke. John Carver was the soldier. I was playing as him. You were hallucinating. Crap was coming after you. I was telling you to snap out of it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Like, there's monsters in front of you, and you're like, no, that's my family. Like, wait, what are you talking about? Like,
yeah.
what?
Yeah.
You got like a crawler on you, my dude. Like, we need to kill him now. Like, yeah, no, it was amazing. It Dead Space has exactly what it's announced, or at least what it is a psychological horror game, and that psychologically destroyed us. And I do hope the same thing as well. I really hope, because from my understanding, Dead Space being remade, it's literally remade. They're going to still keep some of the story aspect into it, but it's not going to play out the same way as it was when Isaac went through is it Yoshida? I forgot what was the ship called. The first ship that he go into, I was told that it's gonna be different. It may potentially be different. So I'm hoping for that, dude. I'm hoping for the cooperative psychedelic craziness that we were dealing with.
Yeah, like if you could play like a random another crew member on the ship that arrives to the Ishimura that was not part of the crew that died, you know?
Yeah, Ishimura. That's what it was. I was like, man,
yeah,
it was
the
like
US dude. I'll never forget, dude. That name will never. The USG Ishimura, like that. It was one of those things, dude. When that trailer came out back in 2007, end of 2007, beginning of 2008, for the release in October of 2008, it was so freaking scared because it was like, dude, like just a ship, just dead in space, and that they took Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and they just made it twinkle twinkle, and it's like, you know, it was like, and it would do that, like that crazy like cut to something terrifying and then back to and then back and forth, and it was like, dude, what is this game?
Yeah, it was horrifying and amazing. That, and I was watching kind of the development cycle of what they're doing, and like their development videos, and they're doing a lot in this game that I have a funny feeling that it's going to take me a while to beat because I'm going to be freaking scared.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at the detailed model remodeling of everything. That Ripper gun looks so real. Like when it shoots, like when the circular saw blades shoot out, it just, the motion of everything, it seems tangible.
It's real. It just looks real.
Yeah, so that means dismembering those freaks are going to be amazing on a 4K TV, bro.
Absolutely. Or like what I saw for the development was the heart race. I guess they have a rhythmic heartbeat kind of thing going on for Isaac. So like when he does move forward or when he like runs, his breathing and his heart rate just like pumps and pumps and pumps and pumps, and you're like, wait, what the hell is going on? And when he stops, it like slows down. Like you had that in the originals, but this one's going to be a lot more elaborate, and you're going to hear his voice actually change depending on what's happening to him in the game. So if he's being chased down by a spooky like monster, you hear his voice like, hey, I gotta
necromorphs. Dude, I've been thinking about that. I've been trying to come up with the name of the necromorphs.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what was it? It was necromorphs, right? Dude, it's been that long. How bad is that? It's been that long. The necromorphs, man. Yeah. So if you're getting chased down by them, all of a sudden you just hear his voice like, "Hey, I gotta let you." You know, like he has like this thing, or he doesn't. And that same dialogue comes in. He's like, "Okay, well, I gotta see you in a bit," or whatever. It's like that. That's crazy. That this voice actor who's playing as Isaac had to, like, I'm sure, do like 17 different lines, depending on like if he's being chased, if he's out of breath, if he's just talking normal, if he's happy or anything. It's kind of intense. Like this game is going to be like a game of the year for sure.
Which, dude, that would be, how hilarious would that be if a remake got game of the year? Like a game that existed over 15 years ago gets game of the year. That would be hilarious.
I have a feeling it's going to be, though. I have a feeling.
Yeah, I mean, that just the time and effort that they're putting into just like what you're talking about with the different voice acting for the different scenarios. Like the man hours that you have to put into that is just ungodly.
Absolutely. And hopefully, just going back to Dragon's Dogma, hopefully that same type of immense detail work happened for like number 2. And like I said, like the whole co-op or even flying mounts, like it was so cool to hop on a griffin and like beat the heck out of it, but you're actually flying up in the air, like kicking its ass. And it's like, hell yeah. Like I want flying mounts though in the game. I want it to be open world. Like you have all these games now that are coming out that are all open world. I don't know if you've noticed that recently.
Yeah.
So hopefully Dragon's Dogma 2 would probably be in that same area and we'll get flying mounts because that would be dope, dude. So co-op and flying mounts for me, please.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's funny too is you're right. There are more open world games coming out. I mean, look at Halo Infinite, right? I mean, it was loose. Here's the thing. The point I'm trying to make is there is more influx of open world games, and I'm using air quotes because in a game like Halo Infinite, yeah, they could classify it as open world because it was to an extent, but it was also pretty linear, if that makes sense. Like you could go around the map and the maps were bigger, but it didn't feel very open world. So I'm just hoping that like they stay true to what an open world game is and what made Dragon's Dogma really, really good.
Exactly. As long as they keep the same combat, I'm sure obviously they are, and they're gonna up it, tenfolds. But if they just had that little amount of detail of like flying mounts or just something that, because obviously this world has to be bigger than Dragon's Dogma 1. I mean, the world in Dragon's Dogma 1, was still kind of open world as well, but I need this thing to be freaking massive, and I want this thing to just have the mounts, have the co-op, have the crazy magic spells, the crazy dragons. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want the dragons to be remodeled just a hair bit because they kind of look like not crows, but like vultures, like vulture dragons. I don't know. That's just me. I don't know if you see like the first red dragon that you see, his nose looks like a beak.
Yeah. The one that cuts your heart out and he eats it.
Yeah. I didn't like his face. I'm like, dude, he doesn't look like a dragon to me. He looks like a vulture.
He looks like those the elder bird things or whatever in Final Fantasy 14, the little black mount things that just,
yeah. The Zeus.
Yeah. The Zeus.
No. So hopefully it's more dragon like. I don't know. That's like more nitpicky stuff, but no, it was cool, man. Hopefully like the hydras, like that one hydra fight you find in Dragon's Dogma, that happens again, and like all these cool mythical creatures that comes in. So I don't know that it's exciting for at least Capcom to actually have something like really good coming out, except for like Devil May Cry. And again, same director, by the way. The guy who made Devil May Cry is making this game. So it's amazing.
They also did a pretty good job too, because I remember the only reason I even got into the game was because I saw somebody doing a let's play of it, and that whole opening thing with the dragon and the character on the beach and all that. I'm like, dude, like, did you ever watch the movie Brave or Dragon's Heart?
Yeah.
That's Dragon's Heart, my guy, in video game form, in a way, like not in the symbiotic way of the dragon actually being good and helping the person who he gives half his heart to, but like that whole concept of like the dragon consuming a heart, or the dragon in Dragon's Heart giving the heart to save a life, like that I've always kind of liked that fantasy lore style. And so when I saw that, I was like, I'm sold. That's it. Take my money. Bankrupt me. I don't care. I want to play it. I want to play it. Well, I want to play it right now.
Now, would be even cooler if they had Sean Connery as the dragon. Now, if that was the catch.
Well, I have some sad news for you. Sean Connery's been dead for like almost 2 years now.
I know, man.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yes.
What?
Yeah, he died. Yeah. He died. I think he died end of 2020, beginning 2021, something like that.
Yeah, no, that was a sad day. Absolutely. I wish he was here. Rest in peace, my man.
James Bond.
James Bond.
Yeah. Now, honestly, like, if they could take his dude, if they could take his voice and superimpose it, like, that'd be pretty dope. I mean, because think about, like, with all this the new Star Wars stuff. I mean, James Earl Jones is 90. He's like in his 90s now. Like, and for the Obi-Wan series, like, he is voice acting Darth Vader still.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, there's gonna come a time where James Earl Jones is 6 feet under. So
yeah,
but you know what I mean. So they'll have to somehow take things that he said throughout his entire acting career and make dialogue. You know what I mean? In some way, you know, and just put it together.
I'm sure Kiefer Sutherland's ready for it.
Oh, shut up. Oh, that's so dumb. I hate you for that. Miss me, huh? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, gosh. It's devolving. So I know you're not too big on BRs and multiplayer shooters, but I am. Much to the bane of my existence and my blood pressure. But there is. Do you know about? I'm sure you've heard about, like, all of the cheating that has happened in Warzone since it came out in early 2020.
Unfortunately, no.
Okay, so we're talking about. I have a lot of footage from myself. Other content creators as big as Tim the Tap Man, Dr. Disrespect, all of them. Like, there is egregious cheating that goes on. I mean, there's a guy, one of the guys that I ran into, he had a hack on that basically made your character like an orangish. Think of like when a sensor grenade goes off and you can see like the person on the other side of the wall.
Okay, like their silhouette per se.
Yeah, you got a lot of background noise, by the way. Like a fan almost. But yeah, kind of like that. And so he can see everybody on the map, and he's able to hit you from across the map with his gun, like just no scope with an MP5, just. And he's just like dropping people dead. Okay. So cheating has been a huge issue in the game. And the answer to it from Call of Duty has been to do this anti-cheat called Ricochet. Well, Ricochet hasn't really been working out that well. There's still hey, Miguel.
Yeah,
you got to turn down that fan or whatever is going on back there, man.
I don't have a fan.
Okay. They've got this Ricochet anti-cheat that is just not working. It's not tackling the problem the way it should. But I saw an article that kind of made me laugh, just because it's kind of funny where. Now that Warzone 2.0 is coming out, Warzone 1, or the original Warzone, it's not that it's not going to be no more, but every operator or gun that you have from Warzone is not going to be in Warzone 2.0. Okay. And so since this new Call of Duty is coming out, they've seemed, according to this article from the headline, have seemed to kind of hilariously, in a meme kind of way, start attacking cheaters. And the headline says Ricochet anti-cheat is plucking the guns from cheaters' hands as Warzone 2.0 looms around the corner. We've gotten another peek behind the curtain of Call of Duty Warzone Pacific and Vanguard's Ricochet anti-cheat, alongside the typical information on tackling the ongoing cheating problem in the popular FPS you'd expect. we were let in on the latest trick in the Ricochet arsenal, literally plucking the guns out of the cheaters' hands. This comes via an official post on the Call of Duty website featuring some insight from the Ricochet team and a Q&A on the ongoing updates and issues facing the games that they have dominion over. The first question covers one that is in mind of a vast number of Call of Duty players. If Ricochet is so great, why am I still running into cheaters? What did I just talk about? As we take steps to ensure our systems can identify and react to the known bad behavior, we fully expect cheat makers to continue devising new bad behaviors, some we can anticipate and some that we need to develop new systems against. Pause, hold please. That is the most BS excuse of all time. Why? Where is all the egregious cheating on Fortnite? Where is all the egregious cheating on Rainbow Six Siege? Where is all the egregious cheating on Overwatch? Doesn't exist because, at least, okay, cheaters exist on those games, but like in the just blatantly getting away with it, because those games actually have punishments. They IP ban you. You cheat in those games and they IP ban you, meaning you cannot access that game from your internet provider anymore.
As it should be, though.
Bye. See you later. So that is a BS excuse that, well, we anticipate some, but we also can't anticipate some. What? That makes no sense. You need to just blatantly know that if you have cheaters, if you even have the files on your computer that are active during the time of you playing, which they are able to track, right? If you have those files on your computer and you're using it to cheat, you should be IP banned. Period. End of story. Not account banned, because you can just make another account, and that's what they're doing. They're just account banning people. They are not IP banning people. So anyways, however, it's not until the section dedicated to cheater mitigation, actions taken directly against cheaters mid-game, that we are given an insight to the newfound practice of ripping the weapons out of a cheater's hands. In fact, they can't even punch in this newfound disarmed state, leaving them absolutely harmless and easy picking for honest players. The post continues. We have other mitigations that will likely spill the beans on in the future. Some are active now, some are in development. Beyond its mission to combat unfair play, we have a second, somewhat secret mission to annoy as many cheaters as we can. Okay, you know me. I'm all about the hilarity. And quite honestly, that's pretty hilarious that they're literally in-game, guns are disappearing and they can't do anything.
So they can't pick up any weapons or anything.
Yeah, and if they did pick up a gun, as soon as the Ricochet anti-cheat software pings onto the fact that account is using a hacking software in the game, they'll account ban them, or in this case, what they're doing, they're just flat out taking the gun out of their hands. But it's like, okay, but that's funny and all. Like I would love to see that in the game. Like that would be very satisfying. But you know what's more satisfying? IP bans. IP bans. That's it. That's all I want. IP bans for cheaters. Get them out of the game.
Yeah, and honestly, I get the reasoning for them plucking it out, or if so here's the thing to me, and obviously this is Activision that we're talking about here. If you did IP ban them, you lose a lot in a form of like business, because if they account ban them and they get a new account, they would have to pre-purchase that game again, and that doubles their revenue, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know.
Obviously, in the logistics standpoint, yeah, exactly. In the logistics standpoint, or at least in the marketing, it obviously makes sense to them to do that. And obviously for their account, ripping the guns off, and like that's official, like that's it. There's nothing else that you can do. Like that's literally what's going to happen for your gameplay from now on. Okay, well, I'm going to have to get a new account. And there you go. You just added more money to Activision, which is kind of garbage, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I love Call of Duty, make no mistake, I understand what the game is. In term, when I mean game, I don't mean the actual video game itself. I mean, I understand what their game is. They are taking advantage of monetary gain, right? And they're willing to put up with potential bad, toxic behavior just because it like you just said, if they account ban, then that's just going to be more dollars generated towards their budget to make more content. So.
But then again, Warzone's free, isn't it?
Well, Warzone's free, but Call of Duty's not.
Okay.
And then you have to pay the $10 for the Battle Pass if you want to, have access to the Battle Pass and things like that.
Yeah, then that's pretty much the reason why. Because obviously, in Fortnite, they just care about that V-Bucks. So
yeah, baby.
V-Bucks. Yeah, no. So honestly, at the end of the day, doing that to them is kind of funny, and I would like to see that actually personally. Like taking someone down, like, wait a minute, where'd your gun go? Oh,
like,
you little cheater.
But that's even better too, is because like they don't even give them a fighting chance. Not that they really should, but like after they take the gun from you, can't even punch. You can't even punch. Okay, like you can't. You're done. Get out of the lobby. All right. That would just be. Could you imagine like some like 13-year-old kid spent $50 on his mom's credit card to buy a hack from one of those hacking companies. And he's like, oh, yeah. Where'd my gun go? What the? What? I can't even punch now? And then just cue the like 2007 YouTube video of that German kid taking his keyboard and just bashing it against his desk.
And I like how you're using kids.
Dude. Okay, let me just tell you something, okay? There are horrible adults who say horrible things on the internet.
Yeah.
They do not, they pale in comparison to a 13-year-old on Call of Duty. I literally, okay, like I'm going to have to really censor this, but dude, I wiped this team, a 4-man squad in Verdansk, in Dupertown. For those of you who follow my channel, you know exactly where that is. We miss Dupertown. R.I.P. baby. But I wiped the 4-man team. The last kid I killed, like the dudes that were in the party, like the first 3 guys, they were like our age, maybe a little bit younger. And like they're like, man, okay, yeah, you, bro. That's it. That was it. I killed the last player who happens to be, I would say, between the ages of 10 and 13. And he said, ha, 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 good aim hacks, you F word derogatory for a gay person. And okay, so F word, ha, ha, good aim hacks, you F word, N word.
Wow.
So F and then the last GOT N word. And I was just like, what?
Wow.
Where is this kid's parents, dude? Like if like if my mom ever heard anything remotely, not that ever would, but like if that ever came out of my mouth, any kind of word like that come out of my mouth when I was that age, dude, I would not be alive doing a podcast right now. I'd be dead. Okay.
My mom would do the same thing. My mom's Hispanic, so you would know what would happen to me.
Yes, I do. But yeah, man, like there is not a grown adult who talks smack that can even compare to a 13-year-old on Call of Duty. There's not. I mean, do yourself, if you ever want a good laugh, okay, go on YouTube and just type in like top rage moments in Warzone or like rage death comms in Warzone. Because like you have like, when you get killed, you have like 5 to 7 seconds to say something to the person that killed you.
Okay.
Half of them, I swear to God, half of them are kids, man. Half of like they're squeakers too. They're just it's like, whoa, bro. Like,
I want a t-shirt that says that.
What?
Taking down squeakers.
Taking down squeakers. Oh my god.
And then
gosh.
Behind it says Dupertown.
You've heard of squeaker cheese? Well, listen to this. We're squeaker killers, man. Oh gosh. Yeah, that. Yeah. So, but in the realm of funny enough, realm of toxic nature, the company G Fuel, the liquid, energy drink of gamers. Well,
yeah,
yeah,
isn't that the guy who sponsored with what is that? The army guy? What's that called?
I don't know.
Army Joe. I forgot his name.
I don't. I have no.
Because he sponsored. Like, there was like this whole meme of his name is Joe, and like he has like a huge army. I forgot what it's called, but anyways, like, he sponsors the hell out of G Fuel, like everywhere, like throughout his videos. He just has G Fuel. That's where I've seen G Fuel. I'm sorry, I just wanted to like make that as a note.
Yeah.
Oh, Angry Joe. That's
Angry
what it
Joe.
is.
Okay.
Yes.
No. Oh wait, are you talking about he's a military guy?
No. He's a gamer. He's like all of us.
Oh, okay.
Like,
I thought you were talking about Angry Cop for a second. That drill sergeant.
No. Yeah.
But oh hi hon, every guy under 30 that you're gonna date. Yeah. So, but to be fair though, like G Fuel, like if you have at least 20 to 30 viewers on your live stream, you can get a sponsorship with G Fuel. You can get a code. You can get a code for 20% off of G Fuel.
Are you serious?
I'm not, but I mean that's good though, because I mean like that's at least getting your foot in somewhere with a sponsorship. But in the past, G Fuel's come under and at first it's one of those things where I kind of like, okay. So about 3-4 years ago, G Fuel came under attack from, and I use that word loosely, but just griping, okay, that there's a lot of iron in their powders. Well, idiot, there's a lot of iron in a lot of stuff. There's iron in fish. There's iron in vegetables. Matters about how much you're actually consuming, right? Okay. Right. I mean, that's why if you eat too much tuna, you can literally give yourself lead poisoning. But this particular issue that we're going to talk about is very, very awkward, and it's actually costing this company some sponsors. Like people who are sponsored by them are saying, I don't want to be affiliated with you anymore. And it says G Fuel fires staff hours after reporting higher up slurs to HR. G Fuel is under fire for the alleged unfair dismissal of 7 talent managers. So those would be like the managers who get into contact with your channel to be like, hey, do you want to be sponsored by G Fuel? After they reported a higher up to the company's HR. Popular gaming and esports energy drink company G Fuel has received waves of criticism after recently firing 7 of its partner talent managers. The company reportedly notified ex-employees of their dismissal, citing restructuring. However, per reports by Jake Lucky, this came mere hours after staff filed complaints with Human Resources regarding derogatory statements made by a superior executive promoting suspicions of unfair dismissal. Okay, so I have to make a correction then on my opening to the podcast. I'm sorry, folks. It is apparent it's not the CEO of the company; it's an executive in the company. So I'm making that correction now. Don't be mad. I'm sorry. I made a little bit of a mistake, but it's still it's an executive in this company.
You hear it in the comments,
right? According to the reports on the 16th of June of this year, the executive reportedly made a derogatory slur towards the members during a team-wide meeting and called the members of the team lazy mother. Wow! All of a sudden, it went down to the tweets. There we go. Less than 24 hours after reporting the executive's unprofessional and derogatory remarks to the Human Resources Department, the 7 G Fuel employees were terminated effective immediately and told as part of the company's restructuring plans. The company is also reportedly banning partnered creators, requesting clarity or further details regarding the drama. So people who are directly making your company money by basically hawking your garbage, okay? Because I don't like G Fuel. G Fuel is disgusting. They're literally hawking your garbage with a 20% discount coupon code to get money off on their orders. You're severing their deals with you because why? You're a man child, basically. Like that is absurd. I could see why people would say, hey, if you can't explain this to me, then I'm gonna go my separate ways. But if the company is going the round of saying, well, how dare you ask us to clarify these things to you, person who gives us money, be gone with you, and just gets rid of them. Like, what are you talking about? Like that just doesn't seem like, and again, I don't know my own company, but that doesn't seem like a very good business practice. And the report goes on to say, so, and this is a quote, so G Fuel just banned me from their Twitch chat because I asked what us partners are supposed to do now that they fired our partner managers without any warning. Wrote a Twitch streamer, Vilonius, on Twitter in a separate tweet. The Twitch streamer revealed the message that warranted a ban. See image below. So on here, let me get this. So on here, it says channel mods will see the most recent messages you sent in the channel along with your requests. Villainous TV. What is happening with all the G Fuel partners now that our managers have been laid off without a warning? And then enter a reason for your unban. Tell the mods why you should return to chat. So basically, as G Fuel was live streaming something, this partnered streamer and partnered sponsored G Fuel content creator simply just asked the question of, hey, one of the managers that was fired happens to be my point of contact to your company. What do I do? And then they ban them. Like, that would be like going to like, the police department and saying, hey, I couldn't get a hold of the 911 dispatcher and this person's chasing me. What do I do? And then they just push you back outside.
No, they shadow ban you.
They shadow ban you. Yeah. Oh, no, that's right. Yeah, no, they take you to jail. Yeah, that's right. That'd be a little bit more. That'd be a little bit more concurrent with this. They just take you to jail. Oh, you're being chased by somebody? Goodbye. Get out of here.
I was gonna ask you if you actually tasted this stuff.
I have, and I actually did not. I can officially say I never spent a dime on it. One of my friends back home in California, they had like a bunch of it, and I was like, I'll try it. Like, I mean, and it's not bad, but it's not great. It's not something I would spend money on,
Yeah, no, I've never tried it, and I am not meaning to try it either. But it's just, I don't know. It looks like Kool-Aid. Might as well just get Kool-Aid.
Yeah, and it's I mean, this is just blowing up, and it's like they're not. Usually when something egregious happens at a company where employee or employees are dumping fuel on a fire, they tend to stop it, all interaction for, 24 to 48 hours, reassess, regroup, and then come out with a unified message, right? But they are just doubling down on, we're just going to nuke everybody. Like, anybody that has anything to say, we're just going to nuke them out of existence in our minds, like in our realm of what we are. And that's ridiculous. There was another tweet here. Can I get it open? That would be great, please. From another Twitch streamer that says, I'm very frustrated to hear the reports of what took place at G Fuel regarding the harassment and firing of several key members of the partnership team. As one of the largest G Fuel influencers with one of the top selling flavors, because that's the other thing too, some of these top content creators, like, they get their own, like, they'll make their own flavor for them. Okay. Like, you can only get that flavor if you go through this particular content creator. And so this individual continues to go on to say, I feel embarrassed and betrayed. I'm feeling conflicted about continuing to promote a product I love after being informed that the people I work closest with at this company are being treated unprofessionally, to say the least. I strongly urge that G Fuel speak out about these issues, address them, and ensure that their workplace culture is appropriate and fair for all employees. Do the right thing. I'm waiting for your reply. And nothing. Nothing at all. Like no response from them. And they're even it's getting so bad that they're even starting to lose FaZe clan members. And you know FaZe, like, I mean, they're one of the top esport gaming franchises out there. Like they're like one of the FaZe guys, Ghost, is about like he's done. Like he wants out. And
wow.
and all they're doing is that they're just shadow banning people. That's it. And then it's egregious because that last tweet I read, people are actually defending G Fuel by saying things like this. This one person says this statement in regards to the tweet that I just read. This statement is highly unprofessional as well, unless you have directly contacted G Fuel management and demanded a personal explanation and set a specific reply expectation. A public flogging of a brand partner isn't it until they've told you to piss off or be unresponsive. What are you talking about? This person's named Ryan. What are you talking about, Ryan? Have you not been paying attention? They're banning people in Twitch chat for asking the question. They're shadow banning people on Twitter for speaking up. They're not replying to emails. This particular person had one of the actual manager, who probably, those content managers at that company probably have like 20, 30 different content creators that they directly talk to. Who are they supposed to talk to if that person is now gone and the company is basically giving them the finger and telling them to F off? And you're going to tell this person that this is unprofessional to do it this way when it's very clear that this company is just telling them to go kick rocks and we've taken our toys and we're going home. Makes no sense.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to. I mean, he's just making it publicly known that these individuals are getting banned and they want answers. Why? And they don't want to get banned themselves if they ask that question directly into their channels. So they don't want to lose, their level of influence in their company. So obviously doing this on Twitter and trying to get, the masses to make them understand what's going on. Because at the end of the day, I mean, G Fuel is a company that's just not going to care too much of their content creators if they're treating them this way. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, I get why this particular, creator did this. And I don't know. People just don't understand how marketing works, I guess.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, but at the end of the day, I can go to bed tonight knowing that I'm not them. Like it's like unbelievable. And it's kind of par for the course, so to speak, because Blizzard, in terms of like the gaming world and how, like, even though I know G Fuel is not a gaming company, they're a game sponsored, like they make a product specifically for gamers. But in this realm, it's just kind of interesting and concerning to see that there's this stigma where people are just treated like absolute dog at these companies where, I mean, Blizzard is still going through their HR nightmare. Activision, same thing. I mean, I know Activision and Blizzard are, they're kind of like a parent company now, but I mean, Activision itself has its own problems, and then Blizzard has its own problems. And then you have this Naughty Dog, back when The Last of Us 2 came out, there were reports of, just absolute egregious behavior in terms of hours and making people work until all like just 48 hours straight. Like, okay. It's just interesting though. So it's like, what about the gaming realm makes people act like a bunch of ass? Like, I don't get it. It's it's concerning to me, honestly.
It's a little entitled. It's a little entitled, to be honest. If you really put it in that aspect, obviously you have a product that a lot of gamers have and a lot of gamers use. You have a lot of influencers that use this product and influence it into their actual, communities. And, you feel like you have a step up on everybody, because obviously now that you've already touched so many different lives, maybe one of these particular products, because like you said earlier, you tried this one product, it was garbage, you didn't like it. But how do you know that there's not another one of their products that actually tastes really well? And that is something that you want. And now you actually, do you go based off of your content creator that you love so much, or do you go off the content of the things that you enjoy? You know what I mean? Like it's kind of a hard thing to try to process through. You know what I mean? And obviously they have that mentality of saying, oh, you like our product, so deal with it, kind of in a way.
Yeah, so they're basically like the tobacco industry. You're addicted.
Pretty much.
It's killing you, but here you go. Smoke up, baby.
Now they got to add little kids to G Fuel commercials and say no G Fuel.
Dude, Jesus. Stop.
Sorry.
Oh my gosh. Dude, they could do like a whole like school song about it. Say no to G Fuel, they treat their employees bad. Like, you know what I mean?
I like just G Fuel, but I don't like that person.
Yeah.
Let's fire him.
Yeah. Do you know that G Fuel makes you out to be a complete bag? What?
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Timmy started drinking G Fuel, and look at him. You should start drinking Gatorade. It's much better. That's the real G0.
Oh, dang. Watch out.
Yeah.
That'll be definitely sponsored for Gatorade if they did that.
I know. Oh my gosh. Yeah. The real G Fuel. Is it this or is it Gatorade? Do you know somebody in your life who's acting like a hole? Well, you need to find out. You need to go in their cupboard and figure it out. Do you see cans of G Fuel in there? Well, that's problem number one.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty sure Gatorade does have like some kind of gamer fuel drink.
Well, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, they are pretty heavy on the sports.
Oh,
aspect.
No. But that's the thing. Esports is a huge thing right now. And what's funny is, I'm gonna not do too personal of a thing, but one of my daughters just graduated from college, and I was out at her graduation announcement for like the whole, I think it was like 1,500 students that graduated. And this particular school that she went to said, and this is verbatim quoted, right, that they're opening up new projects for people to get scholarships on. And one of them, I'm quote you not, is esports.
That's wild.
It blew my mind.
That's wild, man.
It blew my mind. Esports is actually a thing, my dude. Like, they're legit.
Oh, no, I know it's a thing. 100%. 100%.
But we're talking about colleges, reputable colleges. Like, they're legit putting this as a product into their, repertoire of being a scholar in something. Now it's being an influencer in esports. It's, again, I would not be surprised if Gatorade did bring out some kind of thing because of that.
Huh, that is interesting. Yeah. I didn't think about that. I mean, if they want to stay with the times, or at some point they're going to have to, like, you just have to adapt or die. But
look at
that's wild.
Look at animation. Look at gaming animators. Or people that do develop video games, like, they can get their scholarships through that, and this is just another step now.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. That's cool,
right? I think I'm going back to college.
Yeah, right. I mean, I may not be the most talented shooter out there for that particular genre of esports, but I could definitely do the broadcasting voice, be a commentator. I could literally be the Joe Buck of esports, Miguel. Just less annoying and less pretentious. Just do it.
Just do it.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. get sued real quick. That's my esport
Oh
logo.
yeah.
Esports, just do it. Nike's like, ring, excuse me. Oh man.
Betty, just put do it.
Do it. Yeah, just take the just out. No, but then people are gonna say I made a reference
Darth
to
Sidious.
dodgeball, right?
Darth Sidious.
No, dodgeball. He's like, do it, just do it.
Oh,
Do
right,
it.
right, right.
Do it.
Oh, I was thinking about Darth Sidious. Just do it.
Strike him down. Do it. Do it. Oh my gosh. Oh man. Yeah, but yeah, that is actually so you look at your stepdaughter and be like, hey, did you get that esport degree?
Right?
No, then you're going back for 4 years. Get your ass back to school.
Yeah, go. Okay, you need that degree.
Dad needs to make money. Go now.
It blew my mind, and I'm not gonna lie. Like some of the people that walked, there was an elder lady that was probably in her 60s, 70s. Actually got her degree. It was crazy. She was in a walker. The whole thing. It was kind of. I was like, wait a minute, what? That's amazing. Never too old to go to school.
She get. Sorry, I'm gonna kind of be.
I know.
Her acceptance of her deployment is going, I can die now.
Oh hell no! She just stopped right there on the spot.
Spent the last like 4.5 years getting her degree, and then she's finally satisfied in life, and she kicks the bucket right there on the stage.
Perfect. That's the way I would go.
Yeah. How do you want to die? On stage when I'm 95, getting my second GED, not GED, second undergraduate degree. Took me a while to find that word. I'm so sorry.
and I'm sponsored by G Fuel.
Yeah. Doctor, what killed him? Apparently his veins was pumped full of G Fuel. Call the police. I could definitively say that G Fuel poisoned this man. Too much iron.
Too much iron. Way too much iron.
Are you sure he just didn't eat a lot of tuna sandwiches? That probably too.
No, it was on a Twitter post. It said it there.
Did you say Twitter post?
I think I did.
You're such an old man.
I'm sorry.
Hey, tell me about them Twitter posts you're doing.
Oh,
what?
I'm sorry.
Listen, Grandpa. It's called Twitter, and it's called a post, and then it's called tweeting.
I was just gonna quote, our wonderful president, but then again, yeah.
Listen, just don't ride a bike, and you'll be fine.
I hope.
So, anyways, dude, this has been as of right now, number 3 is my favorite podcast. This is a good episode. This is tons of fun, man.
This was fun.
I appreciate you stepping in and being willing to chit chat for a little while. I know you've got some stuff to run on Final Fantasy. I see people kind of popping into the channel there. So, but yeah, man. Again, thank you, and I hope you don't mind for the audience's pleasure if we can continue to have you back periodically or more on a regular, irregular basis.
No, absolutely. And again, I appreciate your crew, your professionalism, everything you guys done. And hopefully, yeah, absolutely. If you're welcoming me back, of course. And just to throw out there real quick, my social media and all that good stuff, I guess. Yeah. So if you guys just want to go ahead and follow me at the CanisLupus on Twitter, CanisLupus Alpha on Twitch, and if you guys are on Final Fantasy and you so happen to play on the forgot our server. What
Exodus?
Exodus, thank you.
Good lord.
Good lord.
The leader of our free company doesn't even know what server we're on.
I know, right? Well, the good thing is, like, you could still play on our server if you're not, as long as you're in the primal, like actual like primal server, you should be able to play with us in Exodus. But yeah, join us in Exodus, and we could hit you guys up and play a good game or something. Actually, funny story, just to bring this up real quick. Do you know the quartering by any chance?
The what?
The quartering?
The quartering.
Yeah, it's a
No.
YouTuber.
So,
well-renowned guy. I think he has like 1.2 million subscribers. Super
Good
cool
Lord.
content. Yeah, he's insane. He actually played Final Fantasy and was in my server, and I had a ball with him. We actually played together, and I was like, dude, this is pretty cool playing with some, important people. And now I got Duper over here. I'm like, ooh, cool. He's in my FC.
yeah, well, I'm not that close to being important yet, but who knows? Maybe one day that 1.2 million will happen.
Yeah, no, you definitely. And like I said, I appreciate your guys' time. Thank you so much for, listening in and everything. And hopefully, like I said, I'll be back soon.
Awesome, dude. All right, well, thank you so much. We're going to end it here. You've been wonderful. I appreciate it. And I will talk to you here in a second, okay? All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to that podcast today. It's been great. Thank you for everything that you have done in support of this adventure. I really appreciate it. You guys are amazing. And we will see you next Monday, 9 a.m. Central Time. Have a good one.
You've been listening to Alt F4. DuperZo is a coffee-loving, scotch-drinking, cigar-smoking gamer, and always will be. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, rate, and review the show. And we'll be back soon. Don't forget the gamer tag and Twitter account, DuperZo. And Twitter for the show is Alt F4 Podcasts. Y'all be cool. See you next time.